Okay, we're on 9.2. Let the minutes show on ready to declare conflict.
All right, good morning. So we're looking today for council direction to approve an award of work to CBCL as a successful bidder on a RFP for the Chester Wave Basin Wastewater Treatment Plant for site selection, technology review, and probable costs for the location of that wastewater treatment plant. This emerges from, as you recall, Council in December 2022, discussed the outcomes, a number of recommendations coming out of the wastewater service study. So two motions resulted from that. One that approved a series of next steps for all 6 wastewater systems, along with a motion that prioritized action for critical upgrades to the Chester Basin system. So as a result, staff issued that RFP via our e-procurement platform, bids and tenders, on April 25th, and that closed on May 10th at 3 p.m. So the RFP was looking for a number of things. So it's calling for proponents to investigate locations for a future plan, evaluate technology options for service delivery of that plan, and also include with that technology that would be expandable for future expansion of service, and then provide probable costs for that. Yeah. So what we've also layered into this contract is, in addition to outcomes that would enable a capital plan for the wastewater system, would be information and data that would lead us to provide a strong submission to the federal grant program, the Disaster Mitigation Adaptation Fund. So there's lots of this information data that would be emerged from that regarding return on investment, climate risk assessment, and those kinds of things. So
all of which would make us eligible for additional funding.
All of which, and that is a large program. The total program pocket for that DMAP program is $1 billion, and they entertain projects of a minimum of $1 million. So we'd structure for that. The timelines are all very tight, as usual. So the deadline for submission to the DMAP program is July 19th. It is currently open and accepting submissions. And so as a result, the work for this contract is to be done by June 30th to enable us to take that information and then roll that into the application along with some additional information. So there were 4 proposals received for this RFP. They were assessed on the criteria as outlined on page 2. So there was experience and qualifications, which is weighted 25% of the total score, methodology and schedule for 20%, proposed project team for 20%, references for 15%, and cost for 20%. The 4 submissions were evaluated, and as noted on page 3, CBCL is the recommended option that scored 92.5 out of 100. The highlights of the submission are again outlined in the report. Demonstrated experience in design and operational process design. There was a clear methodology for deliverables for all RFP components, as well as familiarity with technological solutions we outlined as we'd like them to investigate. There was very clear evaluative criteria for both site assessment and the technology solutions that we encouraged them to assess. And there was similar experience for developing these kinds of proposals, these conceptual plans for submissions to major infrastructure grants such as DMAP and ICIP. And the project team also included climate change specialists who would be able to assess that risk assessment that is critical to the relocation of the system. So as a result, we are looking for, our proposal is that council award this contract to CBCL for a cost of $29,780 plus HST.
Summary.
Any question?
Okay, yeah.
Were they also the lowest bidder?
They were not quite the lowest bidder. There was one that was, I think, $700 less.
So when you do the criteria, if someone is the lowest bidder, do they get 4 points for that and no one
Yeah.
else gets any points, or is it this, if someone gets 20 points, someone gets 19, how do you scale the cost?
It is scaled, yes. So it's weighted. And Dan, do you want to chime in on how we weight that?
Yeah, so the scoring for pricing for architects and engineering is there's a protocol that exists with the province and is based on median. So where it's median score, and then it's based on percentages out from that. Scoring is set.
So they would have blown the others away on the other criteria than the cost was there.
Yeah.
We know this company do it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
I was gonna say, because they get awarded a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what, yeah,
Any other questions? Somebody prepared to move, we accept the recommendation.
so moved.
Second. Seeing as not, or Sharon's not here. All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, did we want to move to 10.2 just so Gail can go home if she wants to?
Sure.
That's work.
she probably wants to stay.
Well, she may.
Sit here for a while.
First time I had anybody able to smoke right with in a while. Not true, she was. No, well, Dan is.
Yeah.
Tim.
Close enough. Same number of letters. So, yeah, so this is a letter from Ms. Smith. Stems from evaluation of the property in 2021, which the appeal deadline was not met for that one. However, in a subsequent year, 2022, there was an appeal, which was successful and has been incorporated. This request here appears to be asking us to correct the assessment for 2021, which is not something that we technically have the ability to do. That's up to PBSC to provide us with assessed values. So there's sort of a couple issues here that so it's not an uncommon situation. It's not unique that someone misses a deadline for an appeal and they have grounds for that appeal, and then in the subsequent year it's found to be accurate and they subsequently are successful in an appeal. Unfortunately, we don't have a mechanism to go back and adjust previous year taxes. There are certain situations where we have the authority to provide exemptions on taxes or reductions, but those situations apply to not this. So for situations of destruction of property due to fire is one that you would see regularly, non-for-profit organizations, that type of stuff. The MGA does not allow us to provide exemptions to individuals for revisions of assessments that are not done through the assessment process, our appeals process. And so in reviewing all this, I can say that yes, the assessment was inappropriately high in that year. However, the process by which we can correct that has been missed, and it's something that's not within our authority to do. It would be up to the normal appeals process through PBSC. And so I would suggest that we do not have the authority to provide a reduction in this case.
I know.
Well, I would agree with what Tim said on the things that we don't. We may want to in camera discuss, so if there's any other avenues, but what he said is perfectly correct.
So anyway, I mean, it was assessed at 800,000, was reduced to 400,000. They know they made the mistake. So she's being taxed. I guess.
So this is a little bit weird situation that wouldn't normally arise, is that it was earlier this week, or well, I guess it was last week, that I was asked to join a meeting between the owner of the property and the warden just to discuss. At the time, my understanding was that it was about a concern about subdivision and sales and timing, and so, and which is also not a unique situation. It happens all the time because of the way PVSC does their assessment valuations for subdivided properties. And so in preparing for that meeting, I was putting together just to have the data of the timing and the numbers and all, so that I was ready for that. I looked at it and said, it looks a little weird, like there was a bit of an anomaly in it. So we reached out to someone at PVSC to ask them, you know, what's the story with this anomaly? Why does this look so funny? Can you help us understand, so that I'd be prepared to have that conversation? They came back and said, oh, actually, yeah, we made a mistake. And if it were appealed at the time within the deadline, here's what we would have assessed it at. So while it wasn't appealed within the normal process, we have been told by PVSC that if it were, they would have revised the opinion down from 820,000 to 410,000. And in 2022, there was a successful appeal on that subdivided parcel. So that kind of shows that that would have happened. But again, unfortunately, we don't really have the authority to go back and do that in such a way. And I would suggest that, you know, like I said, neither of these situations are unique. These things happen every year to people with properties when they're subdividing and when they're selling, or people who have valid grounds for appeals but miss the deadline. This kind of stuff happens all the time, and there are processes set up, and unfortunately they don't meet everybody's needs. If they miss a deadline for appeals, then they don't really have much recourse in that case. This is one of those situations.
So we gotta find a way.
Well, just to say, so I mean, Sam has a legal opinion that we need to discuss. Yeah, which we have to. Okay. So I think we should refer Delby into the camera and give it going. I don't know, Gail, I mean, if there's something you wanted to add to all that.
Well, I'd like to thank council for even entertaining it. I tried to solve it myself. And I called these people. They don't want to talk to John in public. I leave messages and I leave my number and ask for a call back, and I forget. And finally, it became so frustrating that I simply dismissed it, because I had other things that I was dealing with, the sale of the property and one thing and another. And finally, when I came to pay the tax bill, somebody said I owed $8,000 or something on that property, and I was never assessed at that. When the whole property was intact and had all the buildings on it, wasn't assessed at that. And I sold on the house lot, and now I had sold the second lot, and I just have one lot left. And I'm not paying it right now, so that's it. And last year when I paid, and I paid what was assessed for me last year, but now I owe $11,000 on the, you know, the over assessment and the interest and so on. That's a lot of money. And to have to pay that as a senior citizen on fixed income is a hardship. So I talked to Danielle Marcos, and she felt the best place for this to happen was with consultation with the minister, was in the municipal level. So I leave it in your good offices at your discretion. So I'm sort of hanging in with right now. Thank you for entertaining this, to me, very crucial bit of information.
What's the dollar amount, Gail?
Right now, I think
For the mistake, I don't mean overall, for the mistake.
for the mistake, they assessed it at $80,020, and it was never assessed at Anything.
800.
820.
Yeah, 800,000, should have been 400,000.
No, it should have been even less. I think it's,
So it was assessed at 820, they revised their opinion for that year to 410.
Yeah.
The impact, are you asking about the tax
Yeah,
impact?
what
So,
was the tax that she paid that she shouldn't have had, if she
so
had to pay.
if you accounted for half of that 2021 bill, because it's half the assessment, and the interest incurred on that half since then, the total is $4,904 and change.
So almost $5,000, it's a lot of change. Thank you.
So that's the error.
Yeah, the errors cost you $5,000.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll deal with it in camera and see if there's what the options are.
So I can go home now.
You can.
Or you can say,
No, Derek, that's your ready with now.
Okay. I think it's 10.1.
Is 10.1.
Yeah.
So 10.1 is just a copy of the cost sharing agreement between the municipality and Nova Scotia Public Works for J-class roads. So this is not to approve roads for this year. This is our 3-year cost sharing agreement that if we want to participate, or basically we have to sign it. So it's authorization to execute and sign the agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Posted.
and then make that motion. I'll have to speak to the motion after that.
Move, seconded.
Eric seconded it, I think.
No.
No.
I just must speak to the motion. I got a question.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion, Derek?
Is this exactly like the previous one? Has there been any change or just updating it?
As far as I know, it's just been updated. I can double check and make sure that there's no change. As far as I know, it's just the same agreement for
That we
this year.
signed every.
Subject to that.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to vote in the affirmative, but I want to know that there's no changes.
Well, not that we're aware of.
Well, then you just need to compare the two, right?
Yeah.
You know, we have a 3-year agreement from 3 years ago, compared to this one, so if there's any changes that may be impactful. I think it's nice to know before we just go ahead and just sign it.
Well, we have a motion on the floor to sign it. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
I oppose it,
Yeah.
because we haven't read it.
Motion is carried. Like it seems like we're signing for a year. Okay. 11.1. Community Development Recreation Private Road Name Request. Where's Sylvia?
That's me today instead of
Hi,
Sylvia.
Sylvia. How are you? Don't you look like.
Sylvia wasn't able to attend today. She's off today.
Oh,
So I'll go through the entire report. Hopefully folks have had a chance to read through. There is a recommendation that Sylvia has brought forward that with the proposed new private road name of Northern Hill Road. And so you can see in the background and the details there that all of the typical criteria that that Sylvia normally presents has been met. And there were, of course, several different proposed names that were suggested, and you can see some of the comments and feedback that was received on each of those. And I guess it is in Andre's district. I'm not sure, Andre, if you had any other further comments to make on this one.
Road names are one of our easier jobs, usually.
general.
This particular one, I've had a lot of correspondence about. There seems to be two sort of like options that are under consideration. It's Northern Hill Road or Walters Way. Apparently, I received correspondence about this matter even this morning. And in short, there was a gentleman who apparently built the road, over, and I guess it was his sole effort to build and maintain this road, and the family of that individual wants to name it after him. But when they look at the actual number of individual property owners, by property or by individual, the majority actually wish to have it named Northern Hill Road. And there seems to be some sort of historical use of the name Northern Hill Road. I did my own little investigation, and there's a survey plan dated 2003 that references the road as Northern Hill Road, and I found deed descriptions that reference Northern Hill lots and such. So as much as it's always nice to pay homage to those who went before us, I feel like it wouldn't follow our policy to name it Walter's Way. Ours is to follow the majority of people, unless there's some emergency services reason why we would not. And there's always a danger also in naming roads after individuals, because I don't know the interpersonal dynamics there. You could name it after some individual and find out that all the neighbors would, hated his guts or whatever. I'm not saying that's the case here, but and then there's this legacy of like bad feelings about the road name that lives on forever. And so in a way, for that reason, even Northern Hill Road is a better option. So I would move that we name the road Northern Hill Road for the aforementioned reasons.
Second that motion. Discussion? Yes.
So I do have a question, it was on the screen, I have it in front of me too. So comments received from the district area councillor, staff here, Municipal Public Works, and the fire chief. So those are, of course, as we know, the three that we reach out to. So Andre, you mentioned emergency services, and that potential for the issue of the concern and so on in terms of confusion, duplication, I imagine, stuff like that. So we know then that with fire services, the Blank Fire Department, the reference to the preference for Walter's Way is not related to emergency services and any issue or any confusion with the other suggested name. We know that.
My understanding is that that's correct.
Okay, so it's not the emergency services reasoning, okay?
I was a little surprised actually at that. So currently, as I understand, third-hand information is that the emergency, the fire chief, had no issue with either road name from an emergency services standpoint, but
He would prefer.
I think it's because that family had reached out to him and he's providing a political comment, which I personally don't think that's his role. And maybe in the future, when we're reaching out to our emergency service provider, we should make it clear that what we're really asking for is from an emergency services standpoint, do you have an issue with either any of the road names? Yeah, that's not what happened in this case. And that's not, I think.
Yeah. Okay, we have a question called for. All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried.
Don't go too far, Jay.
Okay. It's 11.2, community development recreation operating grant review. So I don't know what to left for.
He got other piles of stuff. He did transfer that.
Yeah, well, I just brought it all.
Just finished.
Okay, so earlier this morning, we talked about grants, and so last year, one of the changes that we made is we created a new operating grant, which essentially was a combination of the former council grant and tourism grant, and so we have gone past the deadline, and the applications were received, and so what we have before you today is a list of applications and their requests. And so just for a little bit of context, when we combined those two previous grants, we had set a budget for the operating grant at $33,000, so that's the amount that we have to work with today. And if you look at the applications that have been received, the total amount of funding is $39,300. And so, so we're a little bit oversubscribed, so there will be some decisions that need to be made today. And so essentially we have provided copies of all of the applications for your reference, and as well as a summary sheet of what the requests have come in. And so I guess as we typically have done in the past is to kind of go through each one and select an amount that you would like to approve and try to come up with a final list that falls within your budget.
Yeah.
To start, sometimes we look at the list, I'm not saying it's gonna work here, but we, of course, we look to see whether, and we know it's an eligible application, we're not questioning that, but whether there's some on this list that we would immediately, for some reason, take off this particular list or whatever and the like. And then it helps when it comes to that totality, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking from experience, we've done that here.
Yeah. So we're about $6,000 over in the request, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's
Mary, did you have something you wanted to add?
I wanted to be, I spoke to you on the phone, Chad, I want to be 100% clear now. If a group is successful in this, does it in any way preclude them from seeking out other grants, green streams?
So in this case, it would not preclude them from applying for a district grant. It would preclude them from applying for a recreation grant. So if they're successful in receiving an operating grant, then they are not eligible for a recreation.
What about capital?
So capital, we've already dealt with capital this year, and so so no. So that's fine.
There is no more.
There is no more capital decisions to be made this year. Yeah.
Okay, so
So just on further to yours, is there something that somebody just clearly wants off of this list for some reason?
well, I'm not saying clearly, but I'm thinking the Chester offer of racing. I know in your memo, Chad, in some of the introductory remarks on that, when it was mentioned that there were others that came in, but you had conversations with them and that before, yeah, I mean, they were withdrawn because there may be a better fit with other municipal grants. So I'm wondering about the Chester offer of racing, would that not be recreation?
Yeah, it could, it has the potential to be a fit with recreation. So that is a new organization that is formed. I think the events have happened in the past, but they have kind of officially formed as a not-for-profit organization. The only, I guess, the one concern for this year is that their event is in June. And so if they waited for recreation, then that would be passed. So unless it was dealt with, the only other option right now would be a district grant for that one, if you decided not to include it as an operating grant.
Yeah, I'll comment on that and something else. No, I'll just stick with one thing. I'll come back later and look at it. So, Chester, I had the same thought as Tina about Chester off-road racing. It seems like something that I'm glad to see it. It's good. You know, not everybody wants to ride a bicycle or whatever, you know, we have our community of diverse interests. And I'm glad that organization sprung up and it's filling, you know, obviously a need.
Yeah.
It does seem like it would be a better fit for recreation. And what I don't like sometimes is when we have grant categories that are fairly open, and when groups fail to meet deadlines, then they get their stuff put in something that's just an easy fit. It's not really what it was intended for, but it's like, it's a dumping ground, I call it. I know it's harsh, but the dumping ground for grant requests that miss where they really should be, and I don't like that.
No, but that's the situation we're in at the moment.
Are we gonna just pick and choose? or-
No, I was asking about that.
Yeah, but I was
That
looking
one.
at them one by one.
Yeah, I was asking with that one.
That way.
Well, we've done it before, Lloyd, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I'm not, I'm just.
Now I'm gonna switch gears. I'll talk about the other thing if I have time.
Okay. What is it?
The Pride Lumber County one application, I feel doesn't fit very well, and this is, well, part of it does. They have one event scheduled to take place in Western Shore, to the tune of about $800 or whatever, but the remainder of that is really funding the efforts for this, it's a parade or something in Bridgewater. We don't fund, we've never funded any pride thing like with pride, events that were happening in HRM. We've never done Christmas on the Lake or any other, you know, parades or anything like that. That would be economic. I mean, those are economic development that align with our mandate. I just don't see how that we would fund this. It doesn't seem like the part of it, like $800 I could see maybe, because that actually is something that's directly taking place in our area. But, you know, if this were a parade taking place in West Harbor, would we be considering it? No. And this is certainly well outside our jurisdiction. I'm not sure why this would be before us.
So I think just for clarification, so there are lots of events that are happening, pride events happening between July 9th and 15th. And they specifically mentioned the line of this project as specifically Municipality of Chester. They will be hosting a pride dog show and flag raising with a barbecue. So those are those two events that are happening within that time frame that are within the Municipality of Chester.
That's
So
$800.
So, yeah, so that is, yes, that's the funding, is that they're looking for the funding for those events that are happening here as opposed to the broader
But
Lunenburg.
they have a budget of $800 for that, and their ask is $3,000.
Yeah, so with that, we can make our.
Under regional services,
No, they're asking-
to make a recommendation.
They're asking $1,000.
Oh, it's $1,000?
It's $1,000. Yeah, well, that's why I was thinking, why are you equivalent of $400?
So, yeah, it's not 3,000, it's 800.
I was
You're saying
saying under regional services, I was gonna make a suggestion, we do the Christmas days, because we always do it. United Way, we match employees, we sort of made
Yes,
that, promise, I guess. And I was gonna suggest we go to all the other ones before the other ones up top to see if we have money to even consider them. But to me, the local ones are more important.
100% on board with that.
okay, so we're gonna say yes to Christmas daddies. We're gonna say yes to United Way, because that's matched by our employees.
Yeah.
And they give the money back to us, we always get more than we give them anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
How do we treat private clubs in this?
hmm,
How do we treat private clubs in this criteria? We talked about it in the previous grants.
So private clubs are eligible to apply for this particular grant, just that the event or activity that they're applying for must be open to the general public.
yeah, so that's like the yacht club, which we usually fund the youth sailing program.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's just open anyway.
You know, and I made a few.
Interestingly enough, you say that. I'd like to know how many local kids actually use that sailing program. My understanding last year, there were maybe 2 local.
Oh, well, I don't know.
But I think it's an important criteria for opening, because I think most of the, and I support the option, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
But I think most of the people in that youth sailing are local kids.
yeah.
But in this particular application are you talking about the Chester Young Club application? So that is not for the youth sailing program, that is for Chester Race Week. And Chester Race Week is open to the general public, so this particular application is for Race Week.
Yeah.
And so traditionally, council has approved support through Race Week through our former tourism application, and of course, that is now combined into the other.
Yeah. So that's
So that's why it fits in here.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay, so we've managed to get through Christmas Daddies and United Way.
Is the Martin's Point pop-up thing, is that actually on our side of the line? Where's
Yes.
the-
Yeah,
It is.
It is, and it creates a lot of economic activity, actually, and they're registered, they're eligible for the.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do we want to start with the pride thing? And we've already discussed that $800 is all that we're spending in the municipality of Chester.
Are we always remember 100% of them?
Yeah.
So
I thought
that's our guys.
let's go back and then.
We're $500 there.
Okay, so then let's start with,
$500.
Bonnie Lee Farm.
or St. Vincent de Paul. We aren't gonna do.
So I thought we were gonna let those until we finished our own.
Okay, Bonnie Lee Farm.
So the Bonnie Lee Farm project is they're doing a legacy book celebrating their 50 years, and they're requesting $3,000 towards that project.
What's the cost of the project?
So I just
just for reference, I went through a few of these here, and I'm trying to balance it out.
Well,
as
we got
well.
$6,000. We
Yeah,
got
well, that's what I'm trying to balance out, so, I'll just give you, and I know we're going down this, but I'll tell you what I did for St. Paul. But I know we're going to Chester, but I had 15 for that. I had 2,000 for Bonnie Lee, and I had 1,500 for the brass band. Those are the only ones I got to buy. I just wanted,
You had what?
sorry. So Christmas Day is always seen, so right now we have 500 for the
You
project.
didn't take anything away from Mark's point.
Yeah, well, I never got that right till we started the discussion, right? But yeah, okay,
I personally, just as for discussion purposes, I would actually give brass band the full 2,000. They could have asked for more.
This is their, what is it? We're on, this is their big end.
okay, yeah, okay, sorry.
And they're down there every week doing free concerts and stuff. It's pretty good.
Okay, no, that's the 150th year anniversary or something like that, crazy like that.
Well, we gotta be careful with 100% things and,
I know, we don't get enough money for it.
Well,
I got
Well, I'm
one.
not saying that.
But I could ask for more and then we should have chopped it down.
And some of them don't even submit one. And then,
Well, that's where do you wanna start? I wanna get on to Bonnie Lee. Okay, Bonnie Lee Farm. 3,000 they're asking for. What are we gonna do?
I suggest that
Let's just
too.
give up, maybe some numbers, what we, the things should be there, then we'll do
Start with
it.
some,
And back up and up.
You're gonna take them in? There you
Yep.
go.
Yeah.
It's not on the screen, but I'll
As
have
long as
it.
he's looking for 3,000 for, to do an anniversary booklet or something like that.
Yeah, so what are we suggesting?
I suggest two, in my opinion.
Does anybody else agree with that or?
We'll put two in and come back to it, I would say.
Well, that's what
I
I'm-
think
yeah.
these are
I
just
am good
discussion.
with that.
Placeholder.
Placeholder.
Two for placeholder, Chester Brass Band.
Do
Give them
that.
the 2,000.
I agree, they're a good organization.
Well, it's also their big anniversary. I just forget how many years it is, but I know it's coming right up.
We'll put that.
Okay.
Chester Off-Road Racing.
I'm just talking about that one.
Oh,
I don't know this organization.
well, I mean, it takes place in Chester Grant. I think they quit for a couple of years. Well, it's probably because of COVID and all that kind of stuff.
So what's it for? Yeah, I know it's in your.
It's a.
Just
They
about-
go with the big
It's a rally.
They have a
It's
deer,
for-
they jump over stuff, they do this, I mean, that's their form of recreation, I don't see why we wouldn't fund them to some
I'm
degree.
gonna recommend 1,500,
Yeah.
simply for factors for insurance, and that's something that
Yeah.
they need. The rest of the road, they can do themselves.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
okay, Chester Merchants,
This is for their annual Christmas festival, and they're looking for support on their marketing of that event.
so what is the, sorry, I just have a question around the total budget. And I was guessing, are they asking for 3 or 4,200? Is that what their total budget is? I see a budget of 85, and I think that's a Christmas per. The budget. No, it's his budget. I sometimes like to look at 3 of what?
And the budget shows 4,200, but then it says 85. I didn't know what that meant either.
Yeah, I think their total budget is 8,500.
Doesn't show that there.
No, it
It
doesn't.
just says a number, but the actual budget is 500, 1,000, 1,000, 1,200, and then total 4,200. And then it says overall 8,500.
Yes.
Doesn't make
I
sense.
think it's probably the value, maybe like the in-kind stuff, do you think? I don't know,
I have
that's
no
what I'm
idea.
guessing.
It looked to me like the costs are 4,200.
Yeah, 42, so 3.
And the revenue was sponsorship for individual donations 15 and Chester Grant 3,000.
Why don't we plug two in there now and come back to it?
Yeah.
What are you requesting, Derek?
I'd say two. I think I gave them the district grant one for 1,500. I think.
okay, well, let's put 2 in.
Yeah.
Chester Playhouse,
Yeah, so this is for their grand opening event that we just heard the presentation this morning. And just a note when you're making a decision about this one is the next agenda item is a district grant, and they're requesting $2,000 as a district grant. So there's two requests going on there.
no,
No, they are eligible. I guess
You can do whatever.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that.
3,000.
They haven't-
Yes, I like 3 with this one.
But they haven't approved the 2,000 district grant.
No.
And that's gonna be further discussion.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
We hear you.
Yeah, so we're gonna give them 3, because it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Okay, Chester Yacht Club,
3,000.
And this is for their Chester Race Week event.
Yeah, we always give them.
yes, well, I mean, if Chester Race Week doesn't bring something to the municipality of Chester, I'd like to know what we're known for.
So we'll say 2.
Yeah. Merge Point pop-up.
500.
Well, I'd like to, I'd like to, suggest
2?
1,000?
2,000. We can come back. I mean, they provide this, a ton of economic activity over there. And they're planning like 8 or 9 markets.
I forget what they even do today.
Yeah.
You're happy with
It's
that?
businesses, that's it.
2,000, I'll put, and we can, yeah.
We'll put 2 in for now.
Similar to Chester Merchants, I think the same sort
Yeah.
of idea.
Yes,
Yeah.
something like that.
2,000.
Yeah. New Ross Farmers Association.
Sort of looking.
$5. Sorry.
What's it for?
Maintenance for their parking area essentially, yeah.
I want to hear from you.
It's in the application,
Yeah.
You're staying on
3,000.
They want forever.
You know she wants to give it all to them, Derek, and you don't even have to ask.
Placeholder.
Well, would it be similar, I guess, with the Martin Point pop-up and the Chester Merchants, 2,000?
So I'm fine with 2,000 for that.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
compare.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
consistency.
2,000 we're
Yeah.
putting in for now.
That's more than last year.
Yes, it is, yeah.
It's a raise.
New Ross Regional Development Society.
And this is for their annual Christmas festival.
Big year this year too,
Big year.
talking about big years, I think they're coming in to present, and within a month, I think, a 30th anniversary,
Okay.
30th anniversary.
What do we want to put in there, people?
3,
2.
let me just go back up the list a little bit. Okay,
They're always celebrating something.
are they? I wonder why.
So much celebration.
This is so much fun.
So Chester Brass Band big year, okay, 2,000 of 2, I'm just looking back. Chester Playhouse, 3,000.
That's a municipal.
3, oh yes. New Ross Regional Development Society, big year as well. So again, competition, right, Andre, when we look at our checklist and what we're basing our decisions on,
Okay, so what are we putting in for New Ross Regional Development
I've got
Society?
3,
I got 2.
I've got 3.
What's everybody else got?
I have 2.
Again, I'm gonna be looking for decision-making criteria when we get to.
Let's settle at 25.
I can live with that.
25? Can you live with it?
Monday?
I don't know if Tane is mad enough to satisfy me.
Well, she even went along, but we gotta find middle ground somewhere.
All right, we'll put it down for now, let's see what the total is at the end.
New Ross Trail Society.
How come that's not a recreation grant? Why,
Yeah.
why are they not in recreation?
Where are recreation?
Again, there's only so much money in.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, there's nothing more recreation than that, is it?
Well, when you look at, I can't recall, so you can all recall with me, when you look at the application, let's look at the application.
It says 30,000 on the application, doesn't it?
And let's see what the planned activity, what the planned project is with this project application. So everyone, open it up, I guess.
So there's several trail events that are.
So they're events. So events.
Of recreation.
No,
Well, it's too late for the recreation, so
it's not, and it is recreation, but everything's recreation. Going to the playhouse is recreation.
I know everything we do.
These are events, so we
Somebody
can
else.
talk about mental, we can talk physical, we can talk about social, we can talk about all that.
It's not right.
That's $1,500 stuff for a place mark.
No.
Yeah, we're gonna go back.
Look at the events, look at the events.
We're soon gonna have, we're gonna have enough money, I think, for the way. that we're
Yeah,
going.
well, I'm just calculating it now.
2,500, same as the other one.
Plug it in.
Okay. I'm doing something.
You're telling them to go for the recreation grant.
Now, ocean schools, that's interesting, because I don't even see a project, it's just a general overall budget, which all of our groups could submit, their $50,000 to $80,000 annual budget.
What do they want the money for?
Don't know.
Keep it alive.
Facility expenses, so so I think this is one of these ones where we create an operating grant. So I think in this particular case with this facility, they're applying for operating funds for their general operating,
This is
so.
exactly the reason why we created this
So
thing.
maybe 5.
3,000, that's something.
Put in, so here we go.
You know, they ask for nothing.
I know they
No, they don't, they're not an ongoing.
We're just keeping the lights on, that's what we're doing.
And really, they're doing this through COVID, I know for a fact that their card games and stuff are way down and their
Yeah.
Oh,
costs.
card games, those are great, love card games.
3,000.
3,000 is what I'm hearing from majority, so I'm putting it in for now. Royal Canadian Legion Branch 79, New Ross.
I'm there.
So there's two Canada Day and Remembrance Day events that they're hosting that they're requesting funding.
Why isn't that a district?
Could be, could be.
Yeah,
Good
see,
call.
and that's where, yeah, because I know my needs, and that's what they're,
Yeah,
I'm doing
but-
it this
Well,
weekend.
I just see this as fireworks and all that stuff, and I don't mind supporting it, but I just seem to be there too much.
So I took a look at the, list. So I got one you was gonna mention about the fire department, no, not fire department, the Legion. So I looked at, the organizations that we have throughout the municipality, and I looked at the activities that we have going on throughout the municipality. And I looked at our last, spreadsheet of all of the district council grants, and I don't see, necessarily a big extensive list in some areas, because I don't know what's going on, of course. But, Adele, in your area, they receive a grant, which is great, but I don't know a lot of other activities within your district that could receive any grant.
In district grant?
Yes,
Oh,
no, any grants from this municipality. I don't know, I see a list of four activities, but I'm just comparing what's happening in the districts and the potential for applications, because we see evidence-based activities and events. That's why I am not suggesting that they go through the stream of district council grants first. Why would they?
Well, that's why I suggested they do.
No, but if we gave them $1,500, then you're still able to top it up with district grant.
And I do not, I look at their expenses here, and $3,600 is fireworks. They're paying hired labor for fireworks, they're paying staff for bartenders. And to me, when you do community events.
It's a volunteer organization, not that.
And they,
Yeah, but I'll tell you what,
Okay.
fireworks, I mean, in the basin, I bring the fire department, that's for me. But
well, they're paying people to do that, they're paying bartenders, they're paying for all that stuff, and I didn't see that as a.
No,
1,500.
500.
I don't know what the total budget is, but
Well, whatever, I just-
breaking out some of those.
I'm at 500.
No,
yeah, I'm at 500, because even that goes against my grain, because,
no,
the Legion could
no,
have applied for an operating grant.
they are applying for an operating grant.
No, my Legion is what I'm saying, for the same type of events, right?
When we look at your 10 down in your area, what the pool of applications are gonna be.
Yeah, wow.
Well, I don't know, the Legion and the church and the basin, and them are all doing the community fun day and the fireworks and all that kind of stuff, and I gave it all to them with my.
Yeah, again, I looked at your list, I mean, last year, I don't think
But
you
you're
spent
getting a
it.
lot of volunteers from a lot of.
They're doing all.
Yeah, well, that's where I did, that's.
There's two events here, right?
District 4,
There
I
you
didn't
go.
spend it all last year.
That limit there.
What was it?
1,000?
Yeah.
Is that where we are?
Sorry,
1,000?
I was gonna say 1,000.
Yeah, I can.
Placeholder for now, then we'll look at the
Placeholder for now, that's
expenses.
correct.
Thank you,
yeah.
Alan.
Anyway,
Just 'cause you
Okay,
can't-
now what am I talking about?
It's not my fault.
Where I just wanna get to where I.
That's it.
what do you got for a total, Chad?
No, we haven't done Pride yet.
Well, we're gonna wait until we got our budget.
Okay, so,
There was something else I want to look
We're
at.
getting all kinds of money on it.
so the only two that we haven't dealt with yet are Pride in Lunenburg County and St. Vincent de Paul, the two in the regional categories.
St. Vincent de Paul.
So what number?
Well, they give money away to all the poor people and all that kind of stuff. We
I
got
got
that
no
food
problem
and
with
oil
that.
and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's
What
right.
number we up to?
So currently without those two, we're at 27,800 out of a total budget of 33,000. So there, we have $5,200 remaining to give out.
Well, I think we should give the Pride of Lunenburg Society 1,000.
No,
No.
their total cost is 1,000.
Well, I must say 500 there.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm with the 500, yeah.
And I'm gonna say 2,000 for St. Vincent.
I agree with that.
Me too, because they help everybody who has.
Well, there's $800 in my district, so would you be interested in $800?
I think we're not gonna finance the whole thing, I don't think we finance it 100%.
No, but that part of the function is in our municipality is $800.
Their total costs are 1,000 for that function in your area.
No, they're $800, I think, right? That's right, maybe I'm wrong.
Why are we financing the whole shot
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
district?
Or,
So we have 100, 500,000, 1,200 up top.
Yeah. So what's our total now?
30,300.
Okay, so we still got $2,700.
Okay.
Well, look at Bonnie Lee, we can give them the extra 1,000.
Thank you.
We can talk about Bonnie Lee.
What do we decide on the off-road racers?
1,500, yeah. And that's the only one in my district.
yeah, but
Other than that, I don't have.
Our limit on this is 2,000.
Well, why don't we bump up the
30,000
racers, $500?
Hmm,
Why don't we give the racers another $500?
racers.
The off-road racers.
Off-road.
Well, I'm happy with it, because
I'd like to give it a playhouse, but we're not allowed.
And I'd like to bump up the pop-up, Mary, because I think that creates so much activity there.
can I give the off-road racers in the basin 500? They're the only people that do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
So it's two,
I'll
right?
support
Yeah,
that.
two.
So make that 2,000.
Yeah, and then what else are we talking
I
about?
think we'll talk about Bonnie Lee. I mean, let's face it, we can't get a better organization to support.
They do a lot of stuff, there's no question about it, they're spending millions.
Okay,
So
so,
I would.
And I'd like to add 1,000 to the pop-up. Sorry, Derek, just finish one. To the pop-up.
right now, did we put two at the pop-up
We put, 2 at the top.
at this point in time?
Yeah,
Well, you
Which
know,
was comparable to
Yeah.
the other similar ones
So-
in your district and my district. 2,000.
again, this isn't district-based money.
No,
This is merit-based activities, events, draw, how it links to the community strategic plan.
Well, it draws from everywhere. So,
Okay, but I consider that in time of deal with Bonnie.
yeah, well, I'm fine with bonding with 3,000.
That's great.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
three.
Bonnie did
Yeah.
3,000.
because we didn't
Yeah.
play this full.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what, right now.
What's our
we're-
total now? Yeah.
So that total is 31,800, so you have a total of $1,200.
We got $1,200 left.
So I'd like to look at the Legion again.
I have no interest in that league. That's just me.
Yeah, spare, yeah.
I just don't like funding like hot dogs and fireworks for too large sum of money. Yeah,
Paid staff.
it doesn't rub me the right way.
I'm
A little
not,
bit of money, but not big money.
So did we give the bond, did we give the bond league?
We did.
30, yeah, total.
not yet, but I'd like to.
No, I'm not interested in that. It's a for-profit, it's a registered organization.
To register.
But it's like a farm market, which is great, right? It's perfect. The businesses are there. The times that I've been there, they've been all businesses, which are great. Businesses from my area, so they're making for profit. I'm not disagreeing with the crowds that they're drawing in, no different than any of these other events, whether it's the Playhouse, the New Ross Fair, the New Ross Legion, any of those events. But as an
Yes.
organization, they're making money.
Mark's point, prop up Market Society.
Find it online, unless they're
Yeah.
paint the wall.
And they've never applied.
Never applied,
No,
They're a new
they're a
organization.
new organization.
they're not for profit.
Yes.
Where does it take place?
In Martin's Point, right with the Bethel, which I'm not sure if you're sort of this side of Shore Cycle. It's huge. He built it to, yeah,
Businesses from New Ross. are vendors.
everywhere, they burned it, yeah. It's big economic.
Right now, I've got $2,000 in there. You wanna go to 2,500? 3,000?
3,000, I would suggest 3,000,
I
we're,
wish I could see what we put everywhere.
No, I because it's similar to the Chester Merchants, it's similar to the North, so I think 2,500.
Yeah.
all right, fair, 2,500.
Well, it's better than they had from
Yeah.
5 minutes ago.
Speed bump, you back off.
So which one's in New Ross? I mean, we've got, Farmers Association, we've given 2 or 3, so we should at least maybe bump that one up because we can afford it.
$700 remaining.
Well, if we give them, well, we only have $700 left to spend.
We also got criteria to think about.
Well, that's why you come to council, if you go to the rec department, there's all kinds of criteria, you come to council, it's not that much. It's up to us.
Personally, I would like to give Christmas to Addie more. Personally.
But we only ever asked for one.
Well, so just clarification, they don't have, that's just a.
Yeah, they don't
standard
ask for
thing.
it, we've been given $100
Just do it.
Yes, there's no request that comes in from
I think we'll
Christmas.
stick with that.
Christmas daddies in the United Way.
Grinch?
I've been told I have no heart.
What can we do?
No,
with
that's
the
Give them their full request.
Well,
of
New
2,000.
Ross Farmers Association, we've cut them back $1,000, I mean, so, I mean,
We bumped others, you're right, Alan.
yeah, so I don't see why we don't go up by $500 for them.
Which one?
New Ross Farmers Association.
Yeah.
He was happy with 2,000.
That is a placeholder.
As a
We have
placeholder.
$700 left and we've readjusted some.
What about we give the rest of it to St. Paul, because they do good work.
Yeah, we've given them their match.
We give
Oh, we gave, I'm sorry, I didn't have that marked,
So
sorry.
look, if we give the New Ross Farmers Association another $500 and we give Christmas deities $300 because we got 200 left.
Yep, agree.
I'd rather give, I don't.
Well, I don't, look, I'm just trying to get us through.
Okay,
I don't want to set
okay.
any expectation.
No, I don't think we should start doing that. I'd rather take the $200 internally, give it to one of the others.
Okay, well, who?
I don't know, look, Chester Merchants, or Joe, you got your 2,500.
What about the Pride Week? That would get close to their 800 they
Let's
want.
move Chester Merchants to 2,200.
No,
I like Pride.
You got 25 for your pop-up.
I like Pride.
I like Pride, yeah, I
You
think.
got 25 for your pop-up.
Give it to the merchants.
Why can't I get my pop-up?
Pride.
Which is the Chester
But
Merchants.
Pride, you got it.
Give it to the
That's a
merchants.
Christmas.
Give it to the merchants, all right.
Chester Merchants, 2 more hundred.
There you go, how's that then?
That's all our money.
John,
We got it spent. Somebody want to make a motion to approve it?
Does it balance?
Can you go through this list again, please?
Bring it to
Just
them.
quick, Al, then we can make our amendments.
Yeah.
So, Chad's.
Chad's got it all there.
One moment here.
Okay, great.
What was that last one? Sorry.
More
Chester
merchants,
Merchants,
120.
Just for merchants.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is supposedly got all our money spent.
Okay, so,
Chester Merchant, 2,200 or 2,700?
22.
Oh, we went to 25.
Yeah, we went to
Yeah, so
25.
now it's 27.
sorry.
Yeah.
We did go 21?
Yes, you just, it's hard to keep track of the way the discussion goes.
It's time to spend it.
Do we have to spend it all?
No,
Well, it's now or never.
don't have to.
Okay, so things not quick line up here, because I've got us in
No, we don't have to.
500
We're asked for-
I thought it was just
Yeah,
emergency.
I
We were
didn't,
asked for
I didn't
39.
think we gave 2,500. He's got us 500 in the.
It's
hole.
500 in the hole, so
I
that
thought we
must
were
be
at
22.
2,200 for Chester.
We were at 2,200 for Chester Merchants.
Okay, let me see.
So we're going to.
Yeah, okay, that balances it. So here's where we're at.
Okay,
Christmas Daddies 100.
Yeah.
Lunenburg Pride 500.
Yeah.
St. Vincent de Paul 2,000. United Way 1,200. Bonnie Lee 3,000. Chester Brass Band 2,000. Chester Off-Road Racing 2,000. Chester Merchants 2,200. Chester Playhouse 3,000. Chester Yacht Club 3,000. Martins Point Pop-Up 2,500. New Ross Farmers Association 2,500. Rush Regional Development 2,500. New Ross Trails 2,500. Ocean Swells Community Center 3,000.
3,000.
Yes.
Yeah, so we decided.
New Ross
Yeah.
Legion 1,000 for a total of 33,000.
Somebody want to make that a motion?
So,
Seconder?
It'd be nice if some of these groups somehow would acknowledge, you know, because some of them are very public facing and the public generally doesn't know that they're supporting. It'd be nice if maybe even informally, you can just let them know that it'd be nice if
We wouldn't mind.
So-
So we do include a note on the criteria that we request recognition. It's not a requirement, but we request recognition as appropriate. So if they're doing programs or if they're making announcements or those types of things, we do ask them to do
Yeah,
that.
a lot of.
So
One other option, sorry, Abdella.
That's okay.
is So we do have, we've used it a few times in the past, that we do have the oversized check. So if there's any opportunities that counselors want to meet with their groups and present an oversized check, there's always that opportunity for some photo ops and that kind of thing. So I just leave that out there if any counselors are interested in that.
But, you know, just, that's all.
I didn't get the last one, sorry.
But which one?
I got Ocean Swells at 3. That's the last one I got.
And New Ross Legion at 1,000.
I didn't know we did a Legion at 1,000.
Yeah, it's for the Canada Day and whatever.
Hot dogs, fireworks.
Okay,
I didn't know we did
second
that.
it. Just
Free drinks for the volunteers.
Further discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, motion is carried.
Next one, we'll do it next time.
If it wasn't so late, I'd have another break.
yeah, we're in the place.
I know, but I got points.
Chad, you may stay here all day, but.
Yeah, let's talk about some more grants.
The district grants. Well, the district ones are usually a little simpler.
Totally easier.
This one isn't.
This one isn't,
No.
maybe.
After Wells may have some suggestions.
Yeah, so the first application that came in is from the Chester Playhouse, and again, that's for their grand reopening ceremonies, and they're requesting $2,000 from District 3.
And I support them, but I told them I wouldn't be supporting them at that amount at this time. Normally,
We just gave them everything we wanted in the last one.
understood,
Yeah.
but normally, asking whether it's a community organization that happens to be based in Chester, but some others would like to participate. Sharon traditionally does on these, she's not here today. I think I'd like to wait till she's here so we can have that
So you
discussion.
want to defer this
I
one?
want for that reason, but I also want others to consider if they want to put $500 in from their district budget into this. But I think Sharon normally would share, split this with me.
Yeah.
In the budget tonight, when Ron and she were here to discuss it.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll give it some thought, but I guess the way, one way to look at it is, I haven't even dealt with the community yet, because we just approved the budget. And, we have been very supportive of Chester Playhouse.
Absolutely, I get that. I get that. But from my perspective,
Oh, it's served the broad community.
it was when I
That's why I wouldn't mind giving them $500,000.
want to support, when I limited as it is,
Yeah.
minor hockey.
Yeah,
It really is not a Chester thing, it's a municipal wide thing.
Yeah.
So that means I can't do some of the things others do outside, because I'm using it to support, water.
I know, and
There's a
I,
lot of organizations.
and I view Foresight, I give the kids.
No, I got my
have to
say.
I understand
And it deserves it.
I made no request here in our budget on how much, because I told them I had 50 money to cover, so. That's why there's no request from
Yeah,
our community center and the barn and all those.
just if we can fund it.
And if you question, I told them I had 10,000 and I'll be using that to fill those, so
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get much.
Yeah,
Okay, people.
just a comment, just gonna comment, because I have a list, and same for me, Floyd, there are probably others, some that I might jump in with. But when I look at the list from last year, I'm not saying I'm gonna do the same, a lot of those groups didn't apply here today either. 4-H, Portage Community Center Oktoberfest, the Garden Club for beautification, preschool, the school, so those are applicants in my area that were
For district.
for my district.
Actually fun. Okay, so we're referring the matter of the Chester Playhouse, and we're on to the Royal Canadian Legion, District 5.
Anyway, I'd like to make a motion to approve, I know they asked for 2,500, but I'd like to make a motion to approve $1,850 at this point.
Well,
I'll second that.
discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion's carried. Now, to the very best of my knowledge, that's the end of the agenda. We're gonna take a 5-minute break, and then we're gonna come back and do the inter-camera stuff.